ready in the back? All right, welcome to practice session number 2. Please silence your cell phones. Please raise your hand if you've got a question, and we'll bring you the mic. And please state your name and affiliation when you're called on. So the Kansas State locker room is now open for 30 minutes. We'll begin with an opening statement from the coach, followed by questions for the student athletes, and finally questions from the coach. With that, we're joined by head coach Jeff Mittie and student athletes Brianna Lewis and Kindred Weisman. Coach, an opening statement, please.
Yeah, well, obviously, I think any team that gets to this point is glad they're here and glad to be in Columbia. For us, I think it was just kind of a steady drive all the way through the year. It was a very consistent team that needed to just make improvements. I think we were able to keep our focus on that throughout the year, and I think the strength of our basketball team was that we were able to do those things. We were able to do those things, make improvements throughout the year, and continue to get better. And if you do those things, some good things will happen. We play in a very difficult league. You know, the Big 12 Conference challenges, 18 games, 18 games where you play everybody twice. And that challenged our group throughout the season. And we feel like, quite frankly, we've been in an NCAA tournament. I don't know how they feel. I feel like I've been in it for about 2 months now. So hope to keep going. We know we've got a big challenge ahead. That's the exciting thing. You know, the other thing is I kind of got sick of seeing the rest of Big 12, quite frankly. I'm glad to see somebody else, and we're excited about the tournament.
Thank you, Coach. Questions for the student athletes here in the front?
David Cloninger with the State. Brianna, just how do you approach playing George Washington? They have some big girls in the post. How do you see yourself matching up against them?
I mean, playing in the Big 12, we have big girls in the post too. So, I mean, it's going to be an adjustment because, I mean, playing against another tall post player is always an adjustment. But, I mean, I just plan on working hard and playing how I played in the Big 12.
Question here in the middle.
Pete Iacobelli, Associated Press. Kindred, how did going through the Big 12 schedule get you guys ready for where you are right now?
I mean, the Big 12, in my opinion, is the best conference that there is, and
You're an SEC country, B.
I'm just saying.
I like it. I love it.
Well, I mean, I just think that the guard and post play, it's really physical, and I just think that has really helped us coming out and playing every game as hard as we can.
Question in the back.
Joe Gorgia from WIS here in Columbia. I'm curious for both of you. Here at USC, they lead the nation in attendance per game. How excited are you guys to play in front of a crowd that loves women's basketball so much and being in this environment tomorrow night?
Well, I like playing in big crowds because the environment is just good to play in. I mean, I like to hear the fans cheering and everything, so I'm pretty excited to play.
Question in the front.
For each of you, doesn't start off so good in the Big 12. What was the main change that happened to start getting back in the games and start winning some of those games?
I just think it was coming back in with the focus. We lost the first 4 in Big 12, and our defense wasn't where it used to be, and we made some adjustments. Our coaches made some adjustments, and that ended up giving us the boost that we needed and confidence on the defensive end to get some more wins under our belt.
Yeah, I would agree with her. Just coming into practice, just being prepared and knowing what we need to make improvements on and just improving on those and gradually improving each game and not just looking back on the past and just moving forward.
We were worried we had some colorblind kids because we weren't guarding anybody in the other jersey, so we were nervous about it. Got their eyes tested.
Any more questions for the student athletes? Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
All right, question in the front here for the coach.
Pete Iacobelli, AP. Jeff, is it true that all the credit for everything you've done goes to Steve Fink, who told us that the other day at football practice?
There'd be a lot of truth to that from Steve, Pete. We go way back. all the way back to when I interned for the Kansas City Royals and worked with him, and we've stayed in touch. And ironically, how this business works, sometimes your paths cross again, and we were together at TCU. And now I think the biggest thing we share is the concern of the Kansas City Royals rotation right now. And so no, it was, you know, when the bracket comes up, you're excited to be in. For us, everybody's screaming. Then the next phase goes, wait, where are we going? What time do we play? What day do we play? And so right away, my phone started buzzing. Steve texted me right away. So it was good to see him early this morning and good to catch up again. Although we had touched base we touch base periodically throughout the year. So it was good to catch up with him.
Question in the back.
Coach, you know, with the first time since you've been there for them reaching the NCAA tournament, the first time in a little bit for the program, how do you keep them even keel going into this game?
Even keel is, well, I think our group, you know, the one thing about we are excited to play in front of a lot of fans. I think the question earlier about Dawn's done a tremendous job with the fan base here. What a great testament to what the job she's done and the excitement that she's created for women's basketball here. That is fantastic. But having said all that, we've played in front of those crowds before. I mean, you're talking about the Big 12 has led the nation in attendance as a conference for going on probably 16 years. So we're used to some extent, those kind of crowds. Iowa State has always had, Baylor has had tremendous crowds. I think our players are right, though. It's nice to play where they appreciate the game you're playing. And people here in Columbia need to, I know they do, but what a great job she's done because it matters and it's important. And our group at Kansas State, we've got great fans. We're over 5,000 for the first time in a number of years, and it's growing and growing. So it's important, I think. It won't be that way everywhere. Unfortunately, it will not be that way at every region this year, and I hope it is, but it won't be. We just know the nature of it. But here it's exciting to be sent to a place that appreciates women's basketball. How do we keep an even keel? I think with our group, I'm always more – I would rather calm them down than have to speed them up. So I want to see us jacked and ready to play because, boy, they're an even keel group. I mean, they're just that way all the time. So there's very few that I have to taper down. Wiesman would be one of them. She's one of them. She'll be so amped up. Her first shot might hit the shot clock. If it does, well, we'll see if we can't rebound it if the officials don't call anything.
On the back on TV.
Coach, not talking about Steve Fink here, but when you saw the bracket pop up, what was sort of your initial reaction being paired with an 8-9 game and knowing that if you advance, a 1 seed is awaiting around the corner for you if USC advances?
Well, I think in most cases, most coaches look for a couple things. They look to see if they're with UConn because of the dominance they've had, and then they look to see if they're an 8-9 because they know the reality. But having said all that, our focus is on George Washington, and our focus is on trying to play as good a basketball as we can play. I thought we played good basketball down the stretch. I think that's why we're sitting here today. If we're fortunate enough to move forward, then we'll address that as we go.
Up front.
Jeff, a couple of questions. One, were you guys sweating Selection Monday, or did you feel that you had done enough to get in?
No, I think we were sweating it. I think it was tight with the bubble. Now, we had been in the projections for 2 to 3 weeks, and the bubble this year was strange. I don't know if it was strange this year. I think there's been a change in the bubble with all the power conferences and all the mega leagues. So there's a change in that bubble, but I felt good looking at our resume against, because the two things that were the strength of our resume was our strength of schedule was the highest among the bubble teams. Okay, I think we had a 17 overall strength of schedule, so that was very, very strong. We had I consider every loss a bad loss, but the committee doesn't consider those as bad losses. Okay, so we didn't have any of those outside of the 150 range. And I felt like particularly the top of our league had, we had a 1 and a 2 seed at the top of our league, and then one of our losses was to UConn. So I felt good, but you never know till your name comes up. And we were sweating it because we didn't come up till the third bracket, for one. You'd like to see your name come up earlier, but we were sure excited to see our name come up.
And also, you mentioned defense and how it was the kind of the colorblind crowd at the beginning of Big 12. Just what changed on the defensive end? Was it a tweak in scheme, or was it just everybody started defending better?
Yeah, they've kind of saved me in that regards because this group has saved me numerous times this year because they have really played well I owe them a lot because a lot of teams couldn't handle some of the adjustments that we felt like we needed to make, and it could have taken this team. But it's a team that trusts. We did. We had to tweak some things because we weren't skilled enough in some areas to just go head-to-head with people, and we were really struggling. But I give our group a lot of credit because we tweaked some things, and we've continued to tweak some things. We have been a team that I kiddingly said to Lewis the other day in practice, I said, hey, we're going to tweak something else. We're going to play defense number 88 this year. And she goes, 89. And I said, well, just keep rebounding. They've been a good group that way. And they've trusted us to come in with a game plan every game, and they've tried to perform it to the best of their abilities. So I'm very fortunate that way.
Question up front.
Jeff, along those similar lines, did you worry at that start that maybe you would not be able to turn things around, or did you see enough in the pre-conference and and even in those losses that you said we've got a basis, we've got a foundation, we can move forward from this?
I thought we were still a good basketball team at that point. I wasn't questioning that. I was questioning their confidence level, and because the Big 12 is such a grind. And knowing that it's 18 games and double round robin, I felt like my job was to make sure they understood they were a good basketball team. We felt like the turning point of the season was the locker room after the West Virginia loss on the road. We got beat by 20, and watching the game, it was not a 20-point loss from our exit. We were doing some good things. We couldn't throw it in the ocean. I went in the locker room afterwards, and right away I said, my sense is that we did some good things today. And I've been doing it long enough to know a good basketball team from a bad basketball team. I said, we're a good basketball team. You guys need to know that. Well, we came home on a short rest and beat Oklahoma on Tuesday following. And from there, you could see our confidence grow. Now, it's a great speech, and it sounds like, but really for them, they actually, this group, I've said this, they have the unique ability to trust, and I think they know when they're bad, I'm going to tell them they're bad, but when they're good, I'm going to tell them they're good, and that game didn't look good on the scoreboard, but from an execution standpoint, it was a step forward. So for us, that seemed to be the turning point.
Any more questions for Coach? Thank you.
Guys, thank you.
The Kansas State locker room is open until 1 o'clock, and South Carolina's press conference is up next at 2:10.